Hey, everybody, it's Greg again. It's another edition of Unbreakable Podcast. Friday, TGIF, Friday, 7/11, July 11th. And it's really early today. But I'm up and at 'em, and I got a couple things to talk about today to get you ready for the weekend. Oh, so before I do, our patron saint, the patron saint of this fine podcast, there he is, Bud. You see where my finger is? There he is, Bud himself. And you can see Katie there on my left, and me with my Eagle Kelly Green hoodie there. Yeah. Those were the days. Those were the days. But there's our Bud. Huh? Isn't he cute? We miss you and love you, Bud. Up there in doggy heaven. Oh my God. Well, what do we got going on today? Well, speaking of which, 7-Eleven. It We used to have a 7-Eleven in town, and they closed down. Every 7-Eleven on 7-Eleven would give away free Slurpees. You remember Slurpees? Slurpees. Those were good. Those were good. You know what drove 7-Eleven kind of away from here was the emergence of Wawa. Wawa. I gotta say, Wawa is the best. Anything you want, you go in and get from Wawa. You want a pretzel, it's there. You want hot chocolate, it's there. You want a hoagie, it's there. Especially now, they call this time the Hoagie Fest, Hoagie Fest, around the 4th of July. So, but back in the day, when I was growing up, 7-Eleven was the big, quote unquote, convenience store. You go in and get a newspaper. What, right? And you get your Slurpee, which was just like water ice melted down, a lot of sugar. I wasn't really crazy about Slurpees. Some people had one like every single freaking day, but not me. If it was a treat, okay. But to me, it wasn't like something I needed. Yeah, but if there is a 7-Eleven near you, go and get yourself a Slurpee and enjoy 7-Eleven. It's a lucky day. It is a lucky day. Well, what else is going on? Yeah, well, it's National French Fry Day. Now there's a day right up my alley. French fries. I love fries. My brother-in-law, God rest his soul, he was a French fry connoisseur. He loved any kind of French fry, and he would rate it. You go to a restaurant, he would say, "I give it a 5. I give it a 3. Give it a 2." You know, French fries are different no matter where you go. You got the crinkly fries. That's my favorite. And then you got the shoestring fries, and kind of like the McDonald's fries, which are sort of like the regular fries. And they're not good for you, but once in a while you indulge. Like today, National Friday, FRY, Friday. So I listen to that across the hall. Forever and ever and Randy Travis. The dogs are across the hall listening to music. And what they're listening to today is country songs of the 80s. You know how I like to talk about 60s, 70s, 80s. Sort of remember when the 80s were a time when country music really started crossing over. It went from like the pure country back in the day, like bluegrass kind of country, hee haw kind of country, hillbilly kind of country. And then around the 80s, it started changing across some pop. And it started really, I think, with Kenny Rogers was one of the first. Kenny Rogers in the new edition. And then you had a first edition. That's a different group. But then you had my man out there right now, Randy Travis. He came into being in the 80s. Forever and Ever Amen. All kind of Hard Rock Bottom of Your Heart. He was big, a big guy in the 80s. And you had Alan Jackson, who's still great. A lot of these country guys are still great, country gals. But that was the big thing. Countries in the 80s. That's why I love the 80s music, because it was very diverse. I mean, you disco was petering out, which was okay with me. He started, like I said, he started having country music coming to the main crossover. And of course, you had your Whitney Houston, your Madonna, Prince, Michael Jackson, and then you still had your hard rock bands, Aerosmith. And you had these British groups coming over, Don't you want me, baby? Don't you want me? Oh, remember that? Human League, 10cc. Now we had some of those groups coming over from England, but Billy Idol, Billy Idol, what went he growls, growl. No, it was just a fun time. The 80s were a fun time for music. What's cool about music is you didn't have to live through the 80s to appreciate it. Music lives forever. So you got kids nowadays are rediscovering, or not rediscovering, discovering the 80s and 70s. People who weren't alive back then. So that's the cool thing about music. If you're a music fan, you got all that background, you got all that music you can catch up on. Let's say, oh man, I love the 80s music. I put an 80s channel on, all 80s. It's just great. It's great. When I was growing up in the 50s and 60s, you didn't have all that back then. You had 30s and 40s music, like during the war, over there, over there, da, 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 over there. The Yanks are coming, the Yanks are coming. And it was patriotic, and it was, it really lifted your spirits. But was it good music? I don't know. So the thing is, kids nowadays kind of feel good because they've got the mainstream music go down, popular, and Taylor Swift, and Holiday, blah, 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 blah. But you also have the background in 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, right? So it's pretty cool. Speaking of music, I heard the Backstreet Boys. Remember the Backstreet Boys? They're still around. Their big hit was, what was the big hit back then for the Backstreet Boys? Alexa, what was the Backstreet Boys' biggest hit?
According to Alexa answers contribute. Quit Playing Games With My Heart, which peaked at number 2 on Billboard in 1997, is the biggest hit by the Backstreet Boys.
But that's not the one I'm talking. I'm talking about another song that has been retooled, different lyrics. They're called it Millennium Number 2 for the Millennium soon. I'll think of it. Anyway, these Backstreet Boys are very popular still. They are going to start doing a Las Vegas residency in the Big Spear. I'd love to get out there someday and take in a show in the Big Spear. They say it's awesome. You can see it from everywhere around. And inside, the walls are, it's like a round circle, and the walls are alive. It's kind of scary, I guess, but it's good. Anyway, the Backstreet Boys are going to be doing residency there. The Eagles just got done there. These big groups sticking in Las Vegas. Instead of touring, you go see them. It's like the old days when Elvis used to be all the time. And the Rat Pack, Sinatra, Dean Martin, Sammy Davis Jr., all those guys were in Vegas. So It's interesting. People they don't want to tour anymore, especially when you get older. You don't want to move around. You just want to stay where you are. You go see them instead of them coming to see you. That's the difference. But we had boy bands. They call them boy bands. 90s. Backstreet Boys, NSYNC, Boys to Men, right? But we had, listen, Anne Murray. Anne Murray. She was a big country crossover singer in the 70s and 80s too. Anne freaking Murray. We had boy bands when I was growing up. I mean, in a way, you could say the Beatles were a boy band. I mean, they grew out of the mock top era, into a lot more sophisticated, complicated music. And I wouldn't consider them a boy band after that. But initially, I think they were. But I'm also thinking of Frankie Valli and the Four Seasons. That was a boy band, right? I mean, and then later on in the 70s, the Osmond Brothers, the Jacksons, Jackson 5, that was a boy band. So boy bands have been around a long time. Girl bands too. Girls sing, I mean, the Shirelles back in the 60s, the Supremes. That's it goes on and on and on. That's the cool thing about music. So anyway, what else we got to talk? I heard this song the other day. Remember Ode to Billy Joe? It's about the guy who jumped off the Tallahatchie Bridge. That was like a big #1 song back in like 1968, 69. And the lady who wrote that song, sung that song, her name was Bobby Gentry. Look her up. Good looking girl, too. She never really had a big hit like that after that, but she was pretty hot back then. She was on every TV show. She was, that song was very popular. They made a movie out of that song. People loved it. It was sort of a mystery kind of song, What happened? Why did he jump off the bridge? And what did he throw off the bridge? You got to listen to the lyrics. But the strange thing about that is she totally disappeared from the scene. In fact, you could say Bobby Gentry is recluse. You could. I mean, she retired from music like in 1981. So she was in it for like 13 years. And then she said, that, you know what? I had enough. I'm bored. I'm living the good life. She went back to Mississippi, she was from, and hardly anyone has seen her. She is just leading a normal life, just like me and you. How many people do that? Not many. But I believe, Alexa, how old is Bobby Gentry?
Bobby Gentry is 82 years old.
82 freaking years old. That. And she's still kicking down there in Mississippi, but nobody knows where the hell she is. And you get all these guys. They want to know that it's only a song, damn it. They want to know, why did he jump off the bridge? Is there some deeper meaning of it? So they were interviewing her a lot back then, and she was like exasperated. She's like, "No, it's just a song. I mean, what the hell, I just made it up. I made up shit. That's all you do. When you're a songwriter, you make up shit. That's what you do, and you get paid for it. And if people like it, they play it on radio, and you get a lot of money. I Love a Rainy Night. Eddie Rabbit. Remember Eddie Rabbit? I Love a Rainy. Driving my life. Remember that one too? Anyway, so so it's very interesting. Bobby Gentry, I guess she just got sick and tired of the show business gig, traveling, the phoniness, she was, and she's been spending the majority of her life in by herself. And God bless her. God bless her. Bobby Gentry, if you're watching me, which I'm sure you are, God bless you. God bless you. What else is going? Yeah, I don't know. Should I talk about this leisure suits? How stupid. How stupid. Now let's talk about something from the 70s. Leisure suits. How stupid were they? But every guy had one, you know? How do I describe a leisure suit? It was a jacket with all kinds of buttons on it. You had an open neck shirt, like you never wore a tie with a leisure suit. It looked bad enough. And you would wear like a silk kind of like a flowery shirt that was unbuttoned all the way down to your navel. And the guys, the chest hair would show, the woman too. I'm just kidding. But, you would wear your chains and stuff, and you would think you were hot shit. But you weren't, you really weren't. And that was the fashion. Thank God it didn't last too long. Oh, God. But I remember having a whole stable, a whole colorful rainbow of leisure suits in that closet to my right here. What colors? Powder blue. I think I even had like a lavender. Looking back on it, people would have thought, "Are you gay? Are you gay? Are you part of the village people?" No, but that was the fashion back then. It's so stupid. Oh my God. I told you yesterday. We went to see Mike Douglas one summer. We got free tickets. I'm gonna pay for them. What the hell? Free tickets to see Mike Douglas. So we were in the first row, right? Because of the wheelchair and everything. So I got into a seat. They folded the wheelchair, put it up on the side there. And me, my mom, I mean, Hanson, we were there. We were standing by the TV studio. All the cameras and the lights, and there was Mike Douglas, the superstar of superstars, the mega star himself. Mike freaking Douglas was there. And like I said, the stars he had on that show was John Ritter, his company, and who I met after the show. But anyway, what I wanted to say was, for that show, I was wearing a freaking leisure suit, a powder blue one. And that show, I don't know if it's still on the internet, but at one time it was. I looked it up, and the very first scene where they go, "Live from Philadelphia, it's the Mike Douglas Show." And people are yelling and screaming and clapping as much as you can for a guy named Mike Douglas. I mean, what? It wasn't no John Lennon, but so the first scene is me. Oh dear God! The camera's showing me, and I'm this little guy in the chair, like clapping like a seal. And I had the 70s haircut, like the long hair, and I had the freaking leisure suit on. And after I saw that, I reminded me, bad memories. I said, "Oh my God, I hope this tape gets lost. Who the hell going to watch this?" So if by any chance you come across an old Mike Douglas show online that starred John Ritter, Robert Duvall, and Southside Johnny and the Asbury Jeeps, I'm there. I'm in the first row. I hate to tell you. Hey, how about those Phillies? In San Diego this weekend, I actually think they're going to win the series. They're going to take at least 2 out of 3. Why? All right, San Diego has revenge because we beat San Diego 2 out of 3 here in Philly about a week ago. San Diego's playing at home, but the Phillies always play well in San Diego. I don't know. Maybe it's the weather. The boys had the day off yesterday, so they'll probably go down to San Diego, catching some sun or whatever you do over there. But I think the Phillies are going to beat the Padres 2 out of 3 at least. Why? Because the Phillies do have their best pitchers going in this series. Ranger is pitching tonight for the Phillies against some rookie for the Padres. I never even heard of it. Tomorrow, Zach Wheeler, who should be the Cy Young winner in the National League. He's pitching great. And then Sunday, you've got Christopher Sanchez, who may have a little chip on his shoulder because he wasn't elected or named to the All-Star team. And he should have been. He deserves it. So he might come out really angry and stifle those freaking San Diego Padres on the sun. I'm just saying. So I like the Phillies' chances. There's been trade rumors, it's the end of the month, it's the trade deadline. And our GM, Dave Dombrowski, needs to get off of his ass and start doing something. He needs to improve the team. Every trade deadline for the last few years, he does nothing. He gets like an old broken down reliever off the scrap heap. Some reliever you get at a yard sale or something, and he doesn't do what he's supposed to do to get the Phillies over the hump to get to the World Series. But I think this year he will, because I think he knows that his job is on the line. You got to start performing and doing stuff. And let's face it, even though the Phillies are 2 games up on the stinking rotten Mets yesterday, we lost a doubleheader yesterday to the Orioles. They need help. They need another bat, and they need some better pitchers in the bullpen. Now, that brings me to my point. There are rumors around that the Phillies are talking to those Cleveland Guardians, who used to be the Cleveland Indians, about 2 of their players. Number one is left fielder Stephen Kwan, who was a hell of a player. A hell of a player. We know the Phillies have the opening in the outfield. We know that. Max Kepler, he's been okay. He's nothing special. He's no sliced bread. Come on. Even though he's bitching, well, why don't I get to play every day? Maybe because you suck. Maybe that's why you don't get to play every day. Stephen Kwan could go right into left field. Excellent defender, blazing speed, great hitter, hits over 300. Not much power, but he's a slappy, on-base kind of a guy. And I would take Stephen Kwan in a heartbeat. You put him right at the top of your order with Trey Turner, and there you go. And in the deal, the Phillies are looking to get closer Emmanuel Clase, who throws 100 miles an hour. He was really good for the Guardians for a couple of years. Last year, and in the playoffs, he kind of slacked off, But I would take him because he is a stud out of the bullpen. And then there's rumors about getting this Durant guy from Minnesota. See, these teams that they're talking to, they're done for the year. They could be delusional and kid themselves and say, hey, we still have a chance for the wild card. No, you don't. No, you don't. Start rebuilding for next year, okay? So, the Minnesota Twins, gone. Cleveland Guardians, gone. That's it. That's what you have to do when you're a general manager. You have to pick the carcasses of all these dead teams, like Oakland A's. Well, they're not Oakland A's or the A's, whatever. But they're like gypsies. They're wandering all around the country, the A's. The White Sox. Oh, yeah, there you could pick their clue too. The Rockies. Oh, God. The problem is, a lot of these teams that suck, there's a reason why they suck. They don't have good players. So you may want to trade with these teams and give them prospects to get the good players. The problem is they don't have good players. Now, what are you gonna take? Right? There's nothing. So, but I had a feeling there's going to be some trades coming up by the end of the month. And the Phillies need to make that final push to get into the playoffs and go far in the playoffs and win the World Series. So we'll see what happens. But to me, sure, you want your prospects. You want your Andrew Peter, your Mick Abel, and your Edie Miller, and your Justin Crawford. The Phillies farm system is starting to get better compared to what it was like 10 years ago. But listen to me. People are going to bitch if Dave Dombrowski trades away one of those 4 prospects that I mentioned. But in order to get something good, you have to trade something good. And a lot of stinky teams, they don't want Alec Bogue. They don't want Brandon Marsh. They want prospects so they can start rebuilding. So if you want to get somebody good, like Stephen Quad, like Emmanuel Clausen, you have to put your guys on the table. And I look at it this way, my friends. Prospects are just that, prospects. Do you remember Sixto Sanchez threw like 100 miles an hour? Little pitcher, but he threw really hard. He was like the prized possession of the Phillies way back when. He was like untouchable for a time. Don't even talk to us about trading for Sixto Sanchez. It'll never happen. Well, guess what? They eventually traded Sixto for JT Realmuto. And JT's been with us, a long time. And Sixto ended up with a sore arm. And I don't even know if he's still with the Miami Marlins organization. I mean, he never panned out because he was hurt. So, no prospects until they do good in the major leagues. You can't count them. So if you have a chance to trade one of your prospects for proven major league pitchers or position players who are good, who are really good in the major leagues, you do it because you just don't know how your kids are going to pan out. Go for the sure thing, especially since the window is closing on this group of Phillies players. I mean, Bryce Harper's not getting any younger. Neither is JT. Neither is Schwarber, Turner, all those guys. And some of them are actually up for free agents at the end of the year. So, I would go all in if I was the Phillies. Sometimes you have to push all your chips into the middle of the table, and you got to say, here, either beat me or I win, right? And that's what you got to do in order to get over the hump. So, let's see what happens. Hey, would I rather keep Andrew Peter or Justin Crawford, who chances are going to be really good players for a long time? Sure, I would. But I'd also like to get to the World Series and win the freaking World Series. Yes. So either way, it's a win-win situation, really. So there you go. Okay, what else did I talk about before I leave you to? Oh my God. Did I talk about everything I wanted to talk about? Really? Oh, good for you, Daddy. Daddy did. Who's coming in? Oh, it's Katie and Coco. Look at his head peeping in. Hi, buddy. Hey there, friends. Hey, Coco. Katie girl. Come and say hi to everybody. Isn't she cute? Katie girl is going to be 9 years old on July 23rd. And you know what we're doing, right? Did I tell you what we're doing? Me and Katie are having birthday parties next year because we'll both be turning 70. I'll be 70 in Unionland. She will be 70 in dog years. Right, Katie? It's going to be a 70s themed party. We're going to play all 70s music. We're going to dress up in 70s gear, garb, whatever. Does that mean the leisure suit's going to be returning? Who knows? But right, little girl, you and I are going to have a 70s party together. That should be fun. Okay, last thing I want to say. 1975, it was a great year. It was a great year. I graduated from school. It's hard to believe it's 50 freaking years. Guess what the number one song of 1975 was? Was it a Paul McCartney song? Paul McCartney Wins? No. Was it country guy? No. Was it a pop guy, pop girl like Olivia Newton-John, John Denver, or one of those Johns? No, Katie, it was not. The number one song of the year 1975, 50 years ago, was Do the Hustle. You know, we were just on the cusp of the disco era, you know? Pretty soon, the Bee Gees would come out with Jive Talking, I'm telling no lies, Jive. That really started the whole thing. The Bee Gees really started the whole thing. And then you had Donna Summer, you know, hot stuff, I want some hot stuff, baby. You know, some of the disco music wasn't so bad. It was pretty good, but it just got so much. You know, that's how life is. Sometimes you get so much forced down your throat, you can't take it anymore. Too much disco. Every radio station was playing disco, except the FM stations where you had classic rock and you had like rock and roll music. But every AM station, remember AM radio? Disco. It was disgusting. Ah. So anyway, 1975 was sort of like the start, and you had the Do the Hustle was the number one song in the country for the whole year. Biggest song in the country. Do the Hustle. Would I like to relive those days? I don't know. Now, would I like to be 50 years younger? Yeah, duh. But only if I knew then what I know now. See, I could avoid a lot of mistakes along the way, my friends. A lot of mistakes. But, you know, it is what it is. I don't know if I'd want to relive those days though. Otherwise, again, like I said, the fashion was kind of creepy. The music in the 70s was different. You know, we didn't have cell phones and we didn't have personal computers. We basically were in the Stone Age, you know. But it was, you know, having lived through it, it survived. It was a trip. It was a trip. There's my Katie girl. Well, the stalking begins. This is what I say every morning. Look at her. She'll tap me on the shoulder and say, Daddy, let's go. Let's go out to the kitchen and get a snack. Yeah, right, honey. We're waiting for you to tap me on the shoulder. She won't. We call this the stalking because this is when both dogs come and really hound me. Pardon the expression. Hound. They hound me until I give in and say, okay, we'll go out to the kitchen and get a snack. These dogs have me tied around their little paws. Anyway, what are you going to do? Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for listening. Peace and love, everybody. I hope you have a great day and a great weekend. And go Phillies tonight. Beat those stinking rotten Padres. You know, and let's go into the All-Star break on a winning note. Okay? Everybody stay cool and stay safe. I know there's some nasty weather all around the nation. I hope you stay safe this weekend, okay? And I will see you soon. Take care for now. Bye. Say goodbye, boys. There she is. Goodbye, everyone.